A man comes into the world like a clean sheet of paper, which immediately all around him begin vying with each other to dirty and fill up with education, morality, the information we call knowledge, and with all kinds of feelings of duty, honor, conscience, and so on and so forth. And each and all claim immutability and infallibility for the methods they employ for grafting these branches onto the main trunk called man's personality. The sheet of paper gradually becomes dirty, and the dirtier it becomes, that is to say, the more a man is stuffed with ephemeral information, and those notions of duty, honor, and so on which are dinned into him or suggested to him by others, the cleverer and worthier is he considered by those around him. And seeing that people look upon his dirt as merit, he himself inevitably comes to regard this same dirtied sheet of paper in the same light. And so you have a model of what we call a man, to which frequently are added such words as talent and genius. And the temper of our talent, when it wakes up in the morning, is spoiled for the whole day if it does not find its slippers beside its bed. The ordinary man is not free in his manifestations, in his life, in his moods. He cannot be what he would like to be, and what he considers himself to be. He is not that. Man, how mighty it sounds. The very name man means the acme of creation. But how does his title fit contemporary man? At the same time, man should indeed be the acme of creation, since he is formed with and has in himself all the possibilities for acquiring all the data exactly similar to the data in the actualizer of everything existing in the whole of the universe. To possess the right to the name of man, one must be one. And to be such, one must first of all, with an indefatigable persistence and an unquenchable impulse of desire, issuing from all the separate independent parts constituting one's entire common presence, that is to say, with a desire issuing simultaneously from thought, feeling, and organic instinct, work on an all-round knowledge of oneself, at the same time struggling unceasingly with one's subjective weaknesses, and then afterwards taking one's stand upon the results thus obtained by one's consciousness alone, concerning the defects in one's established subjectivity as well as the elucidated means for the possibility of combating them, strive for their eradication without mercy towards oneself. Speaking frankly and wholly without partiality, contemporary man as we know him is nothing more nor less than merely a clockwork mechanism, though a very complex construction. About this mechanicality, a man must without fail think deeply from every aspect and with an entire absence of partiality and well understand it, in order fully to appreciate what significance that mechanicality and all its involved consequences and results may have both for his own further life as well as for the justification of the sense and aim of his arising and existence. For one who desires to study human mechanicality in general, and to make it clear to himself, the very best object of study is he himself, with his own mechanicality. And to study this practically and to understand it sensibly, with all one's being, and not psychopathetically, that is, with one part of one's entire presence, is possible only as a result of correctly conducted self-observation. And as regards this possibility of correctly conducting self-observation and conducting it without the risk of incurring the maleficent consequences which have more than once been observed from people's attempts to do this without proper knowledge, it is necessary that the warning must be given in order to avoid the possibility of excessive zeal, that our experience, based on the vast exact information we have, has shown that this is not so simple a thing as at first glance it may appear. This is why we make the study of the mechanicality of contemporary man the groundwork of a correctly conducted self-observation. Before beginning to study this mechanicality and all the principles for a correctly conducted self-observation, a man in the first place must decide once and forever that he will be sincere with himself unconditionally, will shut his eyes to nothing, shun no results wherever they may lead him, be afraid of no inferences, and be limited by no previous self-imposed limits. And secondly, in order that the elucidation of these principles may be properly perceived and transubstantiated in the followers of this new teaching, it is necessary to establish a corresponding form of language, since we find the established form of language quite unsuitable for such elucidations. As regards the first condition, it is necessary now at the very outset to give warning that a man unaccustomed to think and act along lines corresponding to the principles of self-observation must have great courage to accept sincerely the inferences obtained and not to lose heart, and submitting to them to continue those principles further with the crescendo of persistence obligatorily requisite for this. These inferences may, as is said, upset all the convictions and beliefs previously deep-rooted in a man, as well as also the whole order of his ordinary mentation. And in that event, he may be robbed, perhaps forever, of all the pleasant, as is said, values dear to his heart, which have hitherto made up his calm and serene life. Thanks to correctly conducted self-observation, a man will, from the first days, clearly grasp and indubitably establish his complete powerlessness and helplessness in the face of literally everything around him. With the whole of his being, he will be convinced that everything governs him, everything directs him. He neither governs nor directs anything at all. He is attracted and repelled not only by everything animate, which has in itself the capacity to influence the arising of some or other association in him, but even by entirely inert and inanimate things. Without any self-imagination or self-calming, impulses which have become inseparable from contemporary men, he will cognize that his whole life is nothing but a blind reacting to the said attractions and repulsions. He will clearly see how his what are called world outlooks, views, character, taste, and so on are all molded, in short, how his individuality was formed, and under what influences its details are liable to change. And as regards the second indispensable condition, that is, the establishment of a correct language, this is necessary because our still recently established language, which has procured, so to say, rights of citizenship, and in which we speak, convey our knowledge and notions to others, and write books, has, in our opinion, already become such as to be now quite worthless for any more or less exact exchange of opinions. The words of which our contemporary language consists convey, owing to the arbitrary thought people put into them, indefinite and relative notions, and are therefore perceived by average people elastically. In obtaining just this abnormality in the life of man,